welcome to this Digital Energy Technical Section interview. Today, our special guest is Giacomo Silvestri, Group Head of Digital at ENI. And together, we will explore what are the current business priorities and challenges in terms of digitalization, taking into consideration what is going on in the oil and gas industry since the last years. My name is Luca Motti, and I'm a member of SPE DETS, Digital Transformation Committee. And here with me, there is our chairman, Patrick von Pattay. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Luca. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. Let's introduce our special guest, Giacomo Silvestri. Giacomo serves as Group Head of Digital at ENI. He is responsible to shape, drive, and accelerate the company digital transformation. And he's also responsible for ENI Open Innovation activities and ENI Digital Factory, where are concentrated all the key competency center for the successful development of digital transformation projects. And I'm referring to a strong team of data scientists, Scrum Masters, and designers. Prior to joining ENI, Giacomo was the global head of organization, strategic workforce planning, and change management at the General Insurance Group. And formerly, he was a principal at the Boston Consulting Group. Welcome, Giacomo, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Luca, and hello, Patrick, and happy to see you again. And thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
We are pleased to have you here. Let's start. So what we are seeing today is that over the last years, relevant changes have been occurring in the oil and gas industry that are pushing oil and gas organizations to transform themselves into energy companies in order to be profitable in the upcoming years. And for sure, the increasing interest and need for the transition to cleaner sources of energy is playing a key role for this change. But Giacomo, what are, in your opinion, the main factors driving this strategic shift, and how digitalization can support this process?
Thank you very much again, Luca. So I think, you more than me and everyone is pretty aware of that we are living in an unprecedented time in terms of economic and business turnaround. On top of everything that is happening related, for example, to the pandemic and all the effects on the supply chain, value chain, business transformation, even, the way we are working every day remotely in the majority part. Energy and energy industry is more than others facing, again, unprecedented and huge changes and turnaround towards what is known as the energy transition or the decarbonization process. So in a nutshell, I think that in a business perspective, what we are used to do in the past, what we are good to do in the past is no more enough now, because on a side, somehow we had to, shifting from a traditional energy business focused on exploration, on drilling, on reservoir management, on operating our traditional plants, we need to shift to a different world where the goal, at least for ENI in 2050, is to reach the zero emission. In order to do that, you need to change on a side what you are able and what you was able to do on a traditional business. And on the other side, you need to launch and make it profitable new kind of businesses with a zero impact in terms of emission and decarbonization. So what's the role of digital here? Given that I'm leading this kind of function and unit since 3 years in ENI, I've seen and I'm facing a very strong shift in what we are doing and priorities, given that the digital is a strong enabler of our business strategy. Priorities in digital transformation has completely changed. Let me, if you agree, Luca, recap which are our main goals in our digital transformation. Basically, we face 4 key goals. The first one is to, looking at the traditional world, if you want, to maximize our efficiency. So the first goal for us is what we call smartification of our asset. And smartify the asset means, first of all, of course, predictive maintenance, all the application, the traditional application of artificial intelligence to predictive maintenance, but also production optimization. But we do this now that we are doing even in the past under the hat of energy efficiency, meaning that we cannot anymore maximize our production without taking care of the overall energy consumption and therefore the emission of our plants. This is a first change. In smartification of the asset, what remain in continuity with the past is our focus also on safety. So again, in a nutshell, the first goal is taking the most of our traditional business, extracting them and maximize the value of our traditional business through production optimization, predictive maintenance under the hat of energy efficiency and taking care at the maximum level of safety. A second goal is looking into the new world, is boosting our transition. And basically here, the role of digital and the role of open innovation can be summarized into two key points. The first one is it has changed the way we do research, the traditional, if you want, R&D, because now part of the data scientist team that belong to our digital factory are dedicated to R&D projects, because AI, data scientists on data science on a side and traditional competence of our R&D on the other side, together they can boost the process not only of ideation of R&D, but also can anticipate and boost the industrialization process, developing faster scenarios and accelerating the test phases. Again, in the new world, it's not just a matter of, let's say, joining the forces of data scientists to the one of traditional R&D, but also leveraging on our open innovation challenges, because we need to get the R&D process faster and faster. And open innovation is an incredible and very valuable source of new ideas and identification. So if I may summarize, if in the past there was a strong focus on the make option, now we have a make and buy option, looking for outside partner that can accelerate through the open innovation our R&D and innovation process. The third goal is to simplify and automatize, and again, looking for more efficient way to operate our overall support function and simplify the way we work every day. I mean, not only for the pandemic, but we are all aware that the new world or the energy transition probably will not have the margin that we were used to have in the past. Say that the overall support function, the overall corporate function need to be streamlined. And here again, digitalization play a relevant and important role. We can think in a very basic way also to all the automatization and RPA projects that we can apply. For example, we have developed an internal product that is called Any Document Intelligence, that is a sort of bench of different products that enable us to simplify every documental activity that we have in the company, from drafting to research to storage of documents, consultation, and so on. Now is something that we apply across all the function, all the corporate function, and simplify that kind of life and brings more efficiency in what we do. The fourth, last but not least, is a new and stronger focus on customer centricity. So in the context of the energy transition, in the energy evolution, of course, retail businesses are getting more and more relevance and more importance. The point here is that we don't know if we want to be able to do that kind of shift, even not only, I mean, thinking the gas station in a traditional way, but thinking the gas station as a hub of the new mobility way that we are seeing, the smart cities. So if we want to do that, we need, first of all, to know better our customer. And here the digitalization help us in understanding, knowing who our customers are. We have more than 1.2 million thousand, hundreds customer per day. And basically, we don't know them because they stop now or in the past, they refill the car and they go away. We don't know a lot about them. Digitalization in a different application is helping us to understand better who they are and how do they behave, and therefore, which are their needs. The second part is it's not enough to know who your customer are, but it's important to understand how to serve them better. And probably, again, digitalization is has a master importance in helping us to provide new services and new products. So to summarize, given the economic and business shifts that we are facing, digital transformation changed, at least for E&I, their focus into 4 buckets. The first, again, is mortification of the assets to extract more value, assuring the high level of safety. The second is boosting the energy transition process, helping to R&D to make it faster. The third is overall simplification of the overall corporate function. And fourth is the customer centricity.
Wow. That is...
And to provide you some numbers, we do it in around 130 projects, digital projects.
I mean, I know you since many years, and I think you're one of the longest lasting chief digital officers of the industry. So you're one of the ones have the red thread all the way through.
Thank you, Patrick.
Difficult to now ask a follow-up question. I think it's amazing. And maybe you can come back to this, because if I look now at my notes, I see a shift from actually technology, what we were talking about a few years back, very much to softer things, to like the way we work. And that I find very impressive. And maybe you can, with your change background, have a bit of a comment on that, how that shift happened, and what you see as the biggest challenges in there.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's you touch a very sensitive, relevant, and let me say even not easy point. But let me give you a first impression. Sometimes we think that our employees are not used to change, are not ready for change, or might be resistant to change. But if we look at what's happened in the last 2 years, given the pandemic, I mean, 100% of our employees were at home, working remotely, and basically, we didn't have any kind of impact in terms of productivity or even in terms of commitment and motivation. On the other side, I think that all of us in our ordinary life, in our life at home, when we drive, I mean, we are used. And if we take the smartphone, we are used to digital. We are also used to artificial intelligence. When we drive, we ask maybe Google to give us the best path. When we have to decide what to buy or what to watch in television, we ask according to our preferences. So I'm saying that because what we realize that probably employees are more ready than what we expect. First point. The second point, more than, and I'm not saying that change management is no more relevant. I mean, it is, and we have relevant, huge change management program to assist this new technology and this transition. But at the same time, I think that we need, or at least I think that I should start thinking that my people are more ready than I expect. And on the second side, a stronger focus that, by the way, is part of our value in terms of digital team is simplification. I mean, we need to stop thinking that artificial intelligence is something complex, it's something only for expert, it's something. So we are putting a lot of focus on the side of usability, making application user-friendly, integrate application, for example, with Windows Teams. The Any Document Intelligence is completely integrated now with Windows Teams because our people were used to use Windows Teams. So beside the traditional change management, I think it's important to simplify everything we do and put a different focus on the user interface side. That's the reason why within the team of the Digital Factory now, we have a team of design, user experience design people that work in every single project in order to make this simplification happen.
That is so true, I believe, because if I remember some of our very early discussions, I always said that digitalization was maybe the most simple change I ever had, because the private life very often was ahead of the business life. You were used to things in private life that your company couldn't provide yet, like a proper phone. So I'm totally with you there. But something we have learned in other interviews with psychologists was also it's very easy to accept to use a new device or a new program on a tablet as you do it in private life, but it's suddenly becoming very difficult to change the process that you own and that defines your business. So there is a difference between user convenience, even in the business life, and don't rattle my cage, this is my business, this is my purpose, this is my life. So how are you dealing with that one?
That is true. That is true. I mean, one of a simple answer, but is not the solution or is not an easy solution, is that HR, of course, and business play a relevant role, because you, as you said, you can change, I mean, the device, or you can change the application, but as long as you do not change the way you work, the real process, you will not have impact. In this context, I mean, somehow without the help of the HR or the business environment that understand this kind of change and change also the competencies, we will not succeed. A key element, I think, and honestly, we are not there yet in every areas, is empowerment and delegation of power. I mean, we were used to a very long chain of delegation and decision-making. That is not something that could be, I mean, could remain in the future. We're working on that. We're not yet there, definitely. Another point, and here is a call for help and collaboration. I think that's another point where we are not tackling in the right way, is that somehow we digitalize the new way of working, but the new way of working has remained like it was in the past. I mean, we keep on working in the same way, even if we do it remotely. We don't know we no more use paper, but signature are asked exactly like in the past, and so on and so forth. So a key point, and I think could be a very interesting area to brainstorm and understand together, is how the work will be in the future. It's not a matter of putting a new suite on an old way to work, but how the work will be in the future. That is a point that I'm really willing to brainstorm and think about. And honestly, we haven't done so far.
Would you go so far to say that actually the business pressure that we now see, and you mentioned that the low margins that we might face in the future, that this is actually going to help the digital transition to accelerate?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, if there is the culture to understand that the moment is now, and digital will help to, let's say, permit this kind of margin. But if on the other side, given that the margin are lower, we decide to cut, and the mindset culture is, okay, we need only efficiency, and this is not an occasion to make a real change, I mean, a real step forward, so the answer will be no. What we see is that in the new businesses, it's easier, the digital, because of course, I mean, in the new plant, in solar, in wind, I mean, you need to create from the scratch digital plant. You cannot, so minimizing remote activity, predictive maintenance, minimizing the human impact on the plant. But in the old traditional plant, this transition can be stopped from a more efficiency perspective mindset.
And that maybe brings me back to, because the purpose, as Lucas set it up, was really like looking into the new energy, and I think we have taken a great tour into change management. But coming a bit back to the technology, I mean, you had with Zor, one of these fantastic examples how digital technologies, high performance computing, new ways of working, new ways of research and conceptual approaches really changed the business. I mean, you had a fantastic example there. Do you have measurable examples on the energy efficiency side?
Yeah, I give you an example. And by the way, Zor, I mean, in this accelerated path to digital plant, we have just signed a global international partnership on the IE side in order to support us to develop faster and better, let me say, this digital plant on 10 digital assets in the next 3 years and a half. And Zor is of course, the pilot, given that the situation, the starting point was already pretty good. We have developed IDEA. IDEA is we're developing internally an algorithm that is useful exactly to maximize production, but minimizing or balancing with the energy efficiency and the emission. And thanks to this algorithm, we reduce our emission without the emission of the plant, the production, emission related to production, without impacting on the production optimization, so the production level. So that is an example, and we are developing more and more this kind. We are, let's say, fine-tuning, let me say, this algorithm, and we are now bringing this algorithm in other plants, because we see that it was, I mean, with good impact and good results. We do that on the plant side, but I can tell you some example. I mean, we think, I mean, of course, it's a minimum impact, but we have launched, and is a digital program, an employee carbon footprint program. So we are applying digitalization in everyday life employee. Of course, my emission, together with the emission of all my colleagues, is maybe 1% or 0.5% of the overall emission, but the concept and the culture is relevant. So we had applied in the way we digital solution, in the way we commute, in the way we leave the office. In the facility, we have applied artificial intelligence algorithms that moderate the heating and the refreshing of all our old buildings. Simple stuff, but we are trying to tackle each and single point where we had emission. Even if, I mean, could be not so big, but in terms of culture and sensibility, it's relevant. For example, with the building, you asked me for some data. I mean, we reduced by 17% the consumption of energy in order to heat our building. And that is money immediately. And we have done it thanks to a startup that we have found through our open innovation processes.
This carbon footprint reduction program that you're talking about now, that involves directly all the employees, it's something that was born because the organization looked for it, or is it something coming from bottom up? So employees were looking to contribute to the energy transition, to reducing, the carbon footprint of their daily life, involving the organization as well. How was the ideation process?
Yeah. So let me say, first of all, there was a pretty fertile environment. I mean, employees are aware, or more and more culturally aware about their impact. Then in some function, there was already some initiative in doing that. Role of digital, again, is a transversal role. So what we have done is to say, hey, why don't we sit all together from different functions in order to understand what we can do, thinking at a day-by-day employee process in the office, starting when it is at home, arriving when it comes back home in the night. Everything that happened in these 8, 10, 12, whatever hours can be tackled through thanks to digital solution. So digital has been a catalyzer of some initiative that was already there, but we put under a common umbrella and thanks to a fertile environment that was already there. By the way, this is something that I start having several conversations with other corporations, with other companies, even outside oil and gas, because it's a non-competitive topic. So it's another topic that I put on the table. Whoever is willing to brainstorm, to make together a list of ideas and solutions, I'm more than happy to cooperate with other companies.
Well, I might come back to that, Giacomo, because I think energy efficiency, CO2 footprint per barrel, specific OPEX per barrel are drivers. I mean, they have always been drivers, but they're getting more and more important. And it's amazing to see how you twist things with your own developments. And I find this very interesting because there are enough companies out there working in energy efficiency, but developing your own algorithms with your own data science, with your own research team, that is really building competence and culture. Very impressive. Giacomo, it was a pleasure to have you with the
My
answers
pleasure.
ranging from change to technology. It's as always amazing wide spectrum. Luca, I leave the last words to you as you have initiated this fantastic interview.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Giacomo, for your contribution. It was very nice to have you here. It's a pleasure. And I think today we had a great talk, and I hope everyone liked it. And for sure, SPE, DETS Digital Transformation Committee, is always available to invite you, is really willing to have you again, to have other talks about other topics related to digital and everything you think it might be interesting to discuss about around the world of innovation and digital transformation. So thank you again, Patrick. Thank you again, Giacomo. And
thank you very much to you. My pleasure and my honor. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.